Paul?
I just, I would like to hear those numbers from Jim. I'd like to, can we get him maybe in another meeting?
Yeah, oh, yeah, certainly. He just didn't have time working the half schedule he was on. He was close to it and didn't quite pull it off.
Well, maybe we could think about bringing it back.
Okay.
That's all I want.
Tom? You have anything?
I handed out this piece. If you want me to read over some of this?
Sure, give us some top line on it.
Okay. Well, what some of you know, and maybe some of you don't know, the goal or the vision of the festival, that what I was trying to achieve was put together something that sort of is it dovetails with the Connecticut State tax credit for film, digital media, and music. So that's kind of been my soapbox for the last couple of years, is that we should develop an event that is unique, and it's not the same old film festivals that they have that are popping up all over the country. Film festivals are getting very popular now. Several new film festivals, small kind of neighborhood ones have popped up in the last 6 to 8 months in Connecticut. What I did was work very closely with being on the Hollywood East Task Force, which has kind of died down for the time being in Hartford, and knowing basically what their missions and goals and objectives were for marketing the film industry and the digital media music industry in the state. So what I did was I took all those components and I worked them into an overall plan for a unique an authentic event that wasn't happening anywhere else in the U.S. And the only only place where there was something similar happening that entailed film and digital media and music was the South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas, which is hugely popular and successful, and drives a ridiculous number of people to that city. It was it's an event that actually helped make that hub for the entertainment business and for the production and post-production business in film, digital media, music. So using that and then dovetailing it with the marketing goals and objectives of what the state was doing with the industry, I came up with a concept, and that's what I've been building on for the last 2 years. And actually, we not only have film and digital media and music components, we also have a unique screenwriting program. And I've outlined most of these, just about everything that was new that we invented or put together this year. We have the Screenwriters on Block program, which we put together, which is a 5-day total immersion comprehensive screenwriting program sponsored by Writers Guild of America, which was a coup in and of itself. Writers Guild of America does not just sponsor anything, but they saw this as a great opportunity to get involved with a unique program. So we put that together, and James V. Hart, who's a famous Hollywood screenwriter, was on hand to provide some educational components for that. Something called the Cinematic Lounge, which featured directors and cinematographers and producers from around the world to discuss how their regions have influenced the aesthetics of filmmaking. And this year we featured Romanian filmmaking. And these are things that aren't being done in other, at other film festivals around the world or around the United States. We had a 3-day interactive gaming and digital media and content creation and production expo and conference, which was basically based out of the skating rink, but we also utilized the Polish American Club for classroom space, along with the ice arena. And then we had a 3-day concert series. We had a lot of music going on throughout the entire festival. We had a 3-day concert series, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, and we booked 70 musical performances by numerous local, regional, and a couple of national touring independent emerging recording artists. And these artists, several of them, well, quite a few of them, their music's been featured in like video games. I know this sounds kind of weird, but this is a huge industry. As some of you may know, the video game industry is bigger than Hollywood. So if you can get your music on a really popular video game, you're going to make it for yourself. So, it was for video games, for films, and for digital media projects. And then we also had the 24-hour Cup of Joe filmmaking competition, which we launched this year, where anybody with a video camera and an idea, any kind of video camera, it could be a telephone video camera, could make a project. And that was a new program we put together. We attracted a large number of noted industry professionals and distributors. We had sort of an A-list and a B-list, but in our A-list was Joey Pantoliano, which some of you know is in The Sopranos, and Memento, amongst hundreds of other television shows and films. And his event was actually tied to a fundraising event for Interlude and Danbury Catholic Charities, which we held at the Palace Theater on the Wednesday night of the festival. Joanna Merlin, who's a famous film and television actress, who's on Law and Order, and she was in the movie City of Angels, amongst dozens and dozens and dozens of films. Of course, I mentioned James V. Hart earlier. Bob Ike, who's a movie executive producer. Stephen Hayes, who's a movie executive producer. Stuart Struton, who runs Panorama Entertainment, who's a buyer and distributor. Stephen Simon, who's a Hollywood movie producer and director. Mike Reese, who's very well known for producing the Simpsons movie and a lot of the Simpsons cartoon episodes. He's a writer and producer. Eric Zimmerman, who's a very famous digital media content and business developer. And also Mark Lipsky from Giant Digital, who does online film distribution, and he's also a film producer. So that's sort of a short A-list, but there were numerous other people who were notable, kind of B-list people, directors who showed up. We had a new position for the planning committee, including a festival concierge, which was a huge help. And we had a college intern coordinator who I call the intern wrangler. And she did a great job.
Tom, one thing, where was the concierge? Where was that person placed?
She was based out of City Center's office.
Oh, okay.
But she worked, you know, at home months leading up to the festival, talking to all the filmmakers, coordinating their schedule, that sort of thing. Let's see, we expanded the marketing campaign with additional billboards, television, radio coverage, and an expanded printed program and radio advertising campaign. I think we had, the final number was, we had 10 billboards, and Union Savings ran 2 or 3 billboards that were branded with the festival in the Danbury and I think Bridgeport area. And 2 of our billboards were electronic. They were set up near New Haven and Route 8 in Bridgeport. We established the official intern program with Quinnipiac University, which was a huge coup. I think it's going to be real great in helping this year. And that enabled us to launch a comprehensive and integrated cross-promotional viral marketing campaign. So that was great. So we were marketing all 3 industries at the same time with 9 interns. We developed 3 integrated and cross-promoting websites for film, interactive, and music. If any of you have been to our site, they're actually all connected together, and there's a screenwriting site that's almost ready. Well, it's basically ready to launch, but we haven't launched it yet. Let's see, we distributed more than 600 film passes to underprivileged people in Danbury, as well as numerous passes to areas, silent auctions for fundraisers. For nonprofit organizations. We developed a Latin film series with an emphasis on Danbury, European and Latin American cultures, and hosted a Portuguese film night and reception at the Palace Theater on one of our main nights on Friday night. And we also hosted a series of Middle Eastern films with a focus on the Lebanese community. So anyway, our plans for 2010 festival and conference really are to fine-tune the current schedule of events, eliminating some of the duplication and overlap, replacing those with more relevant topics of interest to the public and industry professionals. Attract more industry leaders, directors, actors, celebrities, buyers, content buyers, and industry professionals. Develop an 18 and under film, digital media and music educational component that includes exhibition and competition with awards. And we actually had this planned. Some of our funding came in like April 29th, and we just scrapped it because it came in too late to actually launch it. So everything was laid out. We had a curriculum together. We had things lined up to work over at WestCon, and we just had to can it. So it just came a little too much too late. Put together a producer's pitch where filmmakers and screenwriters pitching their projects to a panel of veteran industry producers and decision makers with an awards program attached to that. So somebody might win 10 hours of video editing or something like that as part of the awards. Plans to expand the current grant funding and sponsorship program to corporate community foundations and national companies. Another thing that's really cool is we're partnering with Helms Briscoe to handle hotel room blocks and marketing of the festival through hotels' internal marketing programs like Hilton Honors program. So all the hotels around here, the majority of them actually have programs similar to Hilton Honors that go out to literally, millions of people. So they will be, Helms Briscoe is actually going to organize this and blast out to all those email lists. And so hopefully that's going to attract more business and tourism visitors. Let's see. And we're going to expand the educational offerings in online digital film and online television distribution, as well as traditional television writing, production, and distribution. And there's several other things I could keep on going down the list, but I don't want to put anybody to sleep. So.
Okay, any further comments, questions?
Past, when you came before us to do this, you had a figure in mind that you presented. What figure of financial support are you looking for?
Gosh, I want to ask you what it's worth.
Well, I'm not gonna be able
We'll
to
let you
tell
know
you.
after we receive the hard numbers.
Well, I know that there's a lot of financial issues out there, just like there is for the town and everybody, and at the same time trying to keep this thing on track and make it as good as it was, but only much better, really requires a lot of funding. And we've started the process of attracting more grants, more sponsorships. Of course, at this point, there's no decision from the town, so I can't really launch a lot of things. So we're really going to need to get the same funding that we got last year to continue doing this.
And that was 70?
No, it's 65,000. We got 75,000 the first
First year
year.
was 75, then it went to 65. Any further questions? Paul?
As much as I love you and I've been working side by side with you on this, I think I have an obligation to say when we started the process here, we had presented it, at least I did to everybody, as we wanted to get Tom started and get him rolling in the first year. So we said we would start at 75 and then ratchet it down. So you didn't hear me say this, okay? We would ratchet it down each year. So I got an obligation to my job and what I said to all of you to say that's what the original agreement that I presented to everybody was, to ratchet it down somewhat. Certainly Tom would love to go back to 75, and I'd love it in different economic times. I'd say, hey, you're right and it's probably worth it. But I just have to say that was the original plan. So
My concern
now I'll
right-
shut up, Tom, and go.
Well, my concern right now is I'm not going to know till after sometime in November. So the later this goes, the harder it is for me to do a lot of things. The harder it is for me to hire people, get the ball rolling. It's not that I'm not going out and getting other funding, but I'm actually relying on money from this year that's still coming in. I'm still getting late checks for sponsors and things like that to try and start the funding to get the ball rolling
And
again.
that's for 210.
Yeah,
Okay.
because originally the city was going to give me a decision, I think it was the middle of September. And, I mean, the first week of September or whatever, and couldn't do it for some reason, so.
Alrighty. Anything further, Andrea?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I really think it's important that the city fund this again for another year. I mean, to really get a project off the ground, so to speak, you do need 3 to 5 years to develop something. And 2 years is generous, but 3 years will really, I think, see it established in downtown. Without funding, it's too big of a variable to know what the impact will be, but there will be an impact. So the city, I hope, will fund it again.
If I might, question to Wayne. You said that Mr. Whitney could come back. Is there any indication, I mean, have you discussed when he might be able to come back then?
Yeah, I'm sure he'd come back sometime within the next month.
Okay.
His budget, so everybody knows, his budget overall for his agency was cut 60% in the governor's funding of this. So he's worked sometime in the past couple of months on his own for the good of the order. As he said to me, it's the right thing to be doing to work. But if you do that for a couple of months without a paycheck, you sort of start to fade a little bit. But yes, he said to me earlier today, I'll get this done for you next month, no problem at all. I'll get it done, even though everything's getting cut back, I will finish it for you.
Well, I appreciate, if I can follow up, please.
Sure.
I appreciate that, but I have to also echo what Paul was saying about it would be really nice to be able to see the statistics before I personally can make a decision as far as 65,000, 60,000, or whatever the recommendation would be through the council. So frankly, I would like to reserve my thoughts, my decision until we can meet with this fellow. How the other members of the committee might feel about it.
Okay. All right, any further discussion, questions, comments? Ben?
Thank you. Then, through the chair, you know, I've been to a lot of the events here at the film festival, and the ones I attended were very well attended. And I'm a big believer any event that that's in the city is positive, whether it be the festival, the Taste of Danbury was very successful, all the festivals we had, all that attracts people. So, and even the Cycle Sunday that's held out on the west side, all attracts people. So this is very positive. And my hat goes off to you for all the work that you do too to it. But again, I think I do agree that city should be a partner in this. And I've been an advocate sort of like the other way, but I do think the city should be a partner in some degree. But one of the things I advocated before, and I'm going to advocate it again, is the nonprofit status. I think that's very important to establish in order to get funding. People will donate if they know they can get a tax write-off for it. I know we asked for it 3 years ago, last time, and I'm going to be asking for it again. For the city to continue funding it from this, I think it needs to be a nonprofit at some point. I think it's important that we lay the groundwork for that.
Can I address that?
Certainly.
Okay, I mean, since you're at that point. The process has been started. It was I went through 3 lawyers who were in the industry who all offered to do it, and it's no lawyers.
Be careful, you're sitting next to them.
Kind of gets going sometimes.
What say you,
like a lawyer.
what say you, Council?
They're very enthusiastic. They're going to help you, and then all of a sudden, like, they return your phone calls less and less and less because they get busy on a project. So I went through 3 people. They've been involved with the festival before. It was very disappointing, and I just said, "Oh my God, these guys are going to cut my head off if I don't." So then I just started doing it through LegalZoom instead, and so the process is going.
And you can hear this. I will help you. You call me.
Can you do it in the middle of LegalZoom? I don't know.
I can help you.
Okay.
I'm a
Well, I appreciate that.
So
Thank you.
let me know. I've done it before. So to help.
Yeah, I know you did it with
Lisa
Lisa
Scouts.
Scouts, yeah.
So give me a call, and I will help you. Free of charge.
Okay.
Would you repeat that last
Thank you.
statement?
Yeah.
The other thing I'm gonna mention, because I think it's important, that gets established, and it's a line, it'll take about a year once it's filed.
Right.
The other thing is, I know this was brought up on the dais last time, is a matching program. And I think that will come up again, and I just want this committee to at least talk about it, where the city will give a hard dollar amount, like 10,000, 15,000 like for seed money, and then sponsor up to a certain level, would be 50,000, 60,000, but it'd be a matching for everything you can raise. The city will match $1 for $1, which will establish you a fundraising arm. And I think that's important. I think Wayne mentioned it a little bit, to establish you to go out and start raising money on your own, and the city can back off a little bit in its fundraising. I think that's going to be an important thing, whether it's either through the committee here, or we'll probably make it again on the dais. I think that's also important, and especially with sponsor levels. This will all help you with that sponsorship. I think all this is important to make this successful. I think Andrea knows about having sponsor levels and how important that is.
Can I address some of this year, I more than matched what came in from the city. One of the grants that we got was a matching grant, and I'm in the process of matching it now, approaching different companies in town. That was Commission on Culture and Tourism grant. I know I'm not going to see any money from them too soon again. So I'm working on matching that. So I do know about matching grant programs, but also total funding coming in. I more than matched what came in. So I mean, if we were talking about matching, I was able to match that funding. So.
I think that's, for the committee point of view, I think that's important that we establish some type of criteria going forward. Because I think this will probably be an annual thing, but I think we got to establish the criteria so we don't have to keep doing this year after year.
But that would have to be formalized in some way,
Yes,
matching
good.
program, which we'd need a number of months to set that thing up, do something like that. Would we, Tom?
I don't know.
I imagine we will.
Yeah, I would think so.
So we got to start at some point. Thank you.
Anything further? At this time, I'd like to hear a motion.
I can provide that. Sorry. I would like to make a motion to actually continue this meeting, this committee, until such time that Mr. Whitney can come and give us the statistics, and so that I can better evaluate my own opinion.
I'll second that.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any further discussion?
Can we discuss a possible date, because my calendar's a little sketchy for the next 6 weeks.
That's
Not
next to
tonight,
impossible.
yeah.
No, we'll never pull that off.
I think that you can
I'll
get
try
way
to
on.
communicate with you. Let me try to coordinate
Okay.
you, myself, Jim,
Okay.
with these three,
All
because
right.
that's a challenge.
What we'll do is, why don't you touch base with Wayne, and then Wayne can get to us, and we'll set it up as soon as we can,
Okay.
okay?
Well, you know my dates, I emailed them.
Okay.
I can send them in.
Okay, I got it. No, I have
All
it.
right.
Yeah, I mean, if I may, I'm sure we can do that, we can't do it tonight.
Motion to adjourn, sir?
Second,
So,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
thanks.